Iran has obviously responded to Israel's attack, multiple rounds of attacks on supposedly the Iranian scientists, nuclear scientists, but we know that attacks have killed people, they've killed civilians, they've killed children. Israel, once again, going buck wild, like we all knew that it was going to happen, like it did, not just on the people of Gaza, but in Lebanon, already in Iran, taking out a leader of Hamas. So on and on and on and on. We've seen Israel do this before. We've also seen them do precision strikes before, which is always the question of like, why can't they do that in Gaza itself? But now Iran has retaliated. Dropsite News putting out this video of Tel Aviv. I believe they've targeted the Ministry of War specifically. And remember, there is such a thing as the Iron Dome. It is a U.S. funded weapons missile defense system that basically shoots down any missiles that come at Israel from any outside nation. There's some missiles going up. They're being launched, I believe, or defense missiles. To shoot down anything coming at them. And then, oops, okay. So that is Tel Aviv. I believe that is the Ministry of War. And it is, once again, we are flirting with World War III. And this was supposed to be a peaceful time because Donald Trump was going to end all wars. Remember when he said he was going to end the wars and he was going to negotiate peace, and no new wars were started under Donald Trump's first administration except for the 400% increase in drone strikes that the U.S. did. And now we are here. And specifically what happened was that Israel tried to take out these leaders of, military leaders in Iran in order to kind of stun the leadership and have them not retaliate. And they have retaliated. It's unclear how many casualties, if any casualties in Israel from the missiles on Tel Aviv. We do know apparently that Israeli ministers themselves are in hiding, that they're like, oh, like, of course, and they did sort of on purpose. They've taken cover underground. And yeah, man, this is kind of what it was always going to be. So sites in Tel Aviv were hit after a waves of Israeli attacks devastated Tehran's military chain of command. There's more updates. This is from the New York Times. Apparently 40 people have been wounded in Tel Aviv, according to a tally from 3 hospitals. Most patients are moderately injured. Yes, Israel has been prepared. By the way, Israel apparently was preparing for this strike for months and months and months, kind of like the beepers attack in Lebanon. They had been prepping for this. So right now, the Trump administration's line is that they didn't know this attack was going to happen. I mean, if they were planning it for a year or like months and months and months, you probably can bet that they knew that the United States knew this was going to happen. But this is all going alongside the Trump administration trying to renegotiate an Iran deal, basically trying to get back into the deal that they got out of in the first Trump administration. I mean, we all know that like the one guy who's really beating it right now is John Bolton. That neocon is very, very excited about this moment. But basically Trump pulled us out of it. And now he's like, well, we want back in because we don't want you to have nuclear weapons. Oopsies, guess we didn't do it soon enough. And we all know the reality, which is the same reality that faces us in Gaza and in Palestine, which is that Israel, if it wants something to fail, it will make sure it fails. Israel does not want a negotiation for a ceasefire in Gaza. Israel does not want to comply with international law on the expansion of settlements in the West Bank. Ergo, Israel will continue to thwart the law and it will continue to lash out. when it comes to any kind of peace negotiations with Iran, if you remember under Obama, Israel freaked the fuck out. They were like, oh, no, I'm sorry. There cannot be peace in the Middle East, even though I say I want it. We don't want a nuclear agreement with Iran, not because we're actually afraid of them having nuclear weapons, but because our entire existence to be armed to the teeth and say everyone's out to get us and nobody believes in our ability to exist, and our broader project of conquering all of the West Bank, that all doesn't have a big boogeyman behind it anymore. You can't normalize relations with Iran. You can't come to some sort of agreement where they get to enrich uranium up to the point of using, having nuclear power, but just below the point of having a weapon. That screws us. And so not only did Netanyahu visit visit Congress, he spoke on the floor, I believe, of the Senate with the invitation of a bunch of AIPAC, Israel lobby-backed Republican senators over Barack Obama to basically implore the American, populace, but American politicians to not go along with this. And lo and behold, Senator Tom fucking Cotton sent a letter that was like, to Iran, like, look, Iran, I know that this black man wanted to negotiate peace with you, but he doesn't know what he's doing. Ergo, anything you guys negotiate's not real, right? Like, and don't get it twisted, because in Iran, every country is like our country. We are not different. Iran has hardliners. Iran has centrists. Iran has, more progressives. Iranian hardliners were like, don't buy this deal. Don't do that. This is terrible. Don't sign anything. How can we trust them? And so we've got our hardliners who are now back in power. They've got their hardliners who are only going to be further emboldened. And yay, everyone gets ruled by extremists. So this is sort of, including Israel. I did want to play, though, because it was interesting to get like Gideon Levy's take on like whether the Israeli population, 40 people wounded, I believe there's scores of dead in Iran as well. I think it was something like it's like 70, 78 people, including in apartment buildings, because they're targeting, again, Israel likes to target its targets at home. So this is not about like, oh, we targeted them on the job. No, they're targeting people specifically when they're at home. Apartment buildings were attacked. But I did want to get Gideon Levy's take on this, because apparently Israelis are like, yeah, this is good. We like this.
It's a very intensive emotional mixture. On one hand, there is the fatigue of the last 20 months in which Israel is attacking Gaza on a daily basis, and many soldiers are there. The war against Hezbollah in the north, people are sick and tired. On the other hand, the James Bond sentiment wakes up now to see all those military impressive achievements. Nobody can deny those are impressive military achievements, and this gives some pride to Israelis. Israelis like it very much. Israel is, as you know, quite a militaristic society, and those achievements, killing here and destroying there without any casualties, obviously, until now, it's a great achievement.
So he's saying basically that the sentiment is that Israelis feel proud that they got these scientists, and it's, the great achievement. Ask the 40 people who were wounded whether or not this is worth it. Ask the people whose families are still being held by Hamas whether they think that we should be expanding a war with Iran when you say you're going to get the hostages back. Again, it's all BS. They know they don't care. We know they don't care.
But nobody pays attention to the price, the potential price, the possible price, which none of us know what will it be. And above all, there is no very clear answer. Where are we aiming to? Will we bomb every second year another location somewhere in the Middle East? And by this, Israel will continue with the same policy, the same strategy, living on the sword forever? Can't tell you. But right now, people are very proud of what happened. and very worried from the retaliation, which might come any moment.
And it did. And this was obviously before the retaliation happened. Fewer than 100 missiles Iran fired back at Israel. And they hit central Tel Aviv and the suburb of Ramat Gan. Most of the missiles failed to reach their targets or were intercepted, according to Israeli military chief spokesman Brigadier General Efi Defrin. An interesting little moment when it comes to the reason for this war, and I'm going to play it. It's from Piers Morgan, sadly. But Netanyahu is basically saying, okay, look, we targeted these nuclear scientists because this is all about Iran getting nukes. We're very concerned about Iran getting nukes, but we don't want to do it the diplomatic way. We don't support any diplomacy. We don't support what the Trump administration has been doing to try to get diplomacy. We know that Trump has been trying to get back into the nuclear deal. We don't want that. Now they're saying something different. Now they're like, Iranian people, rise up against your leaders. Go forth. Which is a very different and I think far more chilling thing to say, which is effectively, we want regime change in Iran. We want a different government and we're going to bomb you into submission. But like, who's going to rise up? What are you even talking about? How is this going to work? And this is the same shit that they're like, hey, babies of Gaza, rise up against Hamas. Like every time they said this with Lebanon. Hey, Lebanon, Lebanese people, rise up against Hezbollah. Every time they say that, you know some next level shit's about to go down because that's their sort of pretext to say, I mean, the rest of that sentence is, if you don't rise up against X, government or people or group that I don't agree with, we're going to bomb you. And we might leaflet you first, but you will be held responsible for that. So again, the mission creep of, first it's to go after the terrorists. First, it's to get the nuclear weapons program that doesn't exist. And then it's like, well, what about all regime change? What about if you just, go away? So, Donald Trump, of course, because he doesn't want to look like a pussy and he wants to look like he was strong and he wants to look like whether or not he did or didn't know about the attack, which again, depending on who you believe, Wall Street Journal is saying that they didn't know about the attack. I think it's really difficult to say, even if he did, he would have been fully on board with it. But again, he's got his envoys. Steve Witkoff is like trying to do this negotiation. Trump somehow thinks this is the way to negotiate, as if Israel thinks that. Israel's like, no, we're doing this because we want no negotiation. But that's cute that you somehow think that bombing people will bring them to the table. You're going to have to do, in fact, it might, but you're going to have to do a ton of it on Iran. You know what I'm saying? Like, Israel couldn't even get, they've gotten Hamas to the table, but like, what's the success story in Gaza? What have they done there? Nothing. They've just kept the war going because, again, it's not about de-escalation. It's not about peace. It's not about negotiation. It's not about the nuclear program, which, put a pin in it because Piers Morgan is coming at you. But Trump said after these attacks, I gave Iran a chance after chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words to just do it. But no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they couldn't just get it done. Well, okay, but your guy is literally in the Middle East right now. Like, Steve Witkoff is supposed to be in Iran on Sunday. So what are you talking about? Like, you're directly undermining your own fucking diplomat who's trying to do the negotiations. You're just trying to save face to make it look like you approve this, that you think it's great. And then it just descends into the most brain melty fucking geezer ass, tweet here. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, or were told. And the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world. Okay, so at least there's an admission that it's with our military. It's with our weaponry. I think there were F-35 fighters. I can't remember what else. And Israel has a lot of it, which with much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen, and they're all dead now, and it will only get worse. Not necessarily. Like, okay, so not necessarily, right? Because when you take out all of the top leaders, right? They're there for a reason. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, not that, just to play sort of like the analogous to the United States, like if Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel were out tomorrow, amazing. That would be great, right? But like the replacements will just be a fucking Pepe meme. Like, it's not like the people who are now in charge of Iran are more level-headed than the people you killed. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the whole point, and again, this is why, and we know a bit about who was actually killed, but it's also really important to know that, like, if any of the people killed were involved, which I imagine they likely were involved in the negotiations for peace, or at least operationalizing any negotiation that was made, that's what Israel loves. They love to get rid of people who were ever negotiating or who could have operationalized the negotiation. They want war because they've got all the weapons, and it's a beautiful distraction from Palestine. Beautiful distraction from Palestine. Beautiful distraction from genocide. And they're all dead now, and it will only get worse. There has already been a great death and destruction, but there is still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Well, okay, so what does he know? What does he know? No more death, no more destruction. Do it before it's too late. God bless you all. Iran is not stupid. Like, Iran is not stupid. They know. Can you imagine if they were like, yes, you know what? We give up even nuclear power. We weren't working on a nuclear weapon, but we give it up. All nuclear power. We'll let Israel personally inspect our country. Would that like be giving up enough? What would Israel do? No, don't. Nah, we don't. We want war, dog. We don't want you to actually do that. Don't put down your weapons. Be scary. Retaliate. We want more. Like, it's not they're not actually concerned with anyone's safety. They're not actually concerned with de-escalation. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.